The only real debatable question here is whether defendant's actions were justified under the law. While defendant has made strong arguments that the circumstances establish reasonableness and necessity, this court cannot make that determination here at the preliminary examination as a matter of law. The evidentiary record from the preliminary examination contains enough to allow a person of average intelligence to conclude that defendant's fear was not reasonable, or that the defendant's shooting of Lyoya in the back of the head was not reasonably necessary. Captain McCursey testified that it's not clear to him whether Patrick Lyoya was merely trying to get away or was prepared to offensively attack defendant. Captain McCursey also recounted a number of examples of alternative techniques that may have been available to defendant. Based on the testimony, the threat or danger that the taser presented may not be the same, depending on whether it was only capable of delivering a drive stun at the time that the shot was fired without resulting in NMI. And it is not clear whether defendant knew or should have known that both the taser's cartridges had been discharged. These are all circumstances that might affect how a fact finder would assess the necessity question. While the captain is of the opinion that the techniques and actions defendant applied were appropriate, a juror would be free to conclude that under the circumstances, the use of deadly force in the manner it was used by defendant was not reasonably necessary. Importantly, the court does not raise these examples to suggest that defendant's actions exceeded what was reasonably necessary. To be clear, this court expresses no opinion on that matter or the ultimate guilt or innocence of defendant. As explained previously, that is not the question before this court. The law recognizes that law enforcement officers are required to make split-second decisions of life and death in dangerous and strenuous circumstances. The reasonableness of those actions can hardly be fully and fairly judged by one person in a black robe with 20/20 vision of hindsight and from the comfortable and safe vantage point of the high perch of the armored-plated judge's bench. It is precisely, though, for this reason that questions of reasonableness and all questions of fact are determined by a jury after a full and fair trial.